Go ahead and call this meeting to order. Chad, can you do the roll call?
Supervisor Craig. Supervisor Thorne.
Here.
Chairman Schaller.
Here.
Supervisor Romer.
Here.
And Wolford is still excused.
Can I get a motion to go into public comment?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Who wants to start? Go ahead, Bruce.
I see under the sewer utility this year, all of a sudden there's $5,000 for attorney expenses. What's up with that?
I think there's always been a line item for attorney's expenses.
Yeah, I was asking Terry.
I know there was some discussion on some stormwater utility that Bob was going to check into. I thought he was going to go through the town attorney. Maybe that's why it's on there. But
Well, we've always had a $5,000 budgeted line item for attorney's expenses.
I see back in 17, there's nothing.
Actual cost. That's not budget. We don't generally spend any out of that fund for attorneys, but it's always there just in case.
Got anything else, Bruce?
All right, no.
All right, thanks. Anybody else? Anybody? Can I get a motion to close public comment?
So moved.
I'll second it. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to business. 4A, working session for 2018 Town of Campbell General Fund and Utility Fund budget. Chad, you want to start for us, please?
Yeah.
Pretty much what you told me that. Right?
My favorite time of the year anyways. So, couple of things that I have done that you should have in your packet is your levy limit worksheet. By the looks of it, net new construction has netted us about a $10,000 increase in our levy. We are losing about $2,300 through two annexations that we had in 17, so we did gain a little bit from our net new construction, as you can see. That's where we come up with our property tax or our revenue side of things. After everybody gave me all their budget proposal numbers, put them into this sheet here. Anticipated revenues from other sources, just based on factors of averages and what we can consistently, that I know that we're getting. We're looking at deficit of, and again, this number is a little skewed, and I'll explain it here in a little bit, but $1,452,115.97. Again, I say that's skewed a little bit because we are going to be putting in roughly the $700,000 loan from the Streets and Roads project, the $350,000 for the fire truck. So that's all going into the reserves this year, which means that for budget purposes, it'll have to come out next year. So we're not necessarily in a $1.4 million budget deficit, but there is some deficit money that will be needed from the reserve funds if we go ahead with what's proposed here from everybody's budgets.
It was what, Chad? $1,452,000 what?
$115.97. Now again, if you backed out, the $1,050,000 out of that for the Streets and Roads project revenue and the fire department revenue, we've already discussed taking about $130,000 from the reserve funds to pay for the additional cost of the fire truck, and then $50,000 for the squad car. Leaves us at a deficit of about $120,000 still. Unanticipated funditures. since you guys don't read this a lot, I'll just say a couple other things. Projected year end, I'm looking at about a $17,000 surplus. If everything stays status quo and my projections are close to accurate, again, looking at about 17,000. A little bit more than that just because the general fund does get paid back a little bit from the utility for things like some of the insurance and the accounting. So we'd probably gain another 20,000 or so from the general fund through that sort of stuff. So budgetary this year, we're doing really well. Now, if everybody stopped spending till the end of the year, we'd obviously have more, but I know that's not going to happen.
I got a quick question for Mitch on page 8 under capital outlay general governments. Are you asking for another 135 or is that
No, that's the total cost of
that project?
that project out there. And we put in 70,000 last year, spent about 5,000 on the borings
Yeah.
for the lot and everything else, and then I put another 70,000 in this year. And obviously, if we have to wait another year, we're going to have to wait another year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it's going to have to be.
Would it be another 65,000 into it or would it?
No, it'll be another 70 in.
70?
We put 70 in last year, but we spent about
Oh, it's been
5,000 on those borings and the
Okay.
tests for what they would have to do out there. So
All right. Thank you. Chad, did you get new numbers from Adam today from MTU?
He did send me 38,861. He says this is the closest number I see without having our budget finalized mid-November. Any questions, call me. So I had originally put 38,000 just as a number to put in there. So again, we're a little short on that. I'll adjust for our next meeting, but anticipate probably another. He's saying 861, so maybe somewhere around that 861 to 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
my raw numbers, how much of that are we able to trim, do you think? How about that? Is that going to be ballpark or?
Yeah, where are we sitting now? I mean, we're really in line for about 200,000 on the refuse and garbage. You know, I mean, that's
Pretty close. Yeah.
10,000's a pretty good. I mean, you might be able to trim 5 off and still be pretty close.
Let's take 5
The one thing that we haven't done, what they haven't done, and I'm surprised, is Harders has not increased us based on CPI the last couple of years. And I don't know where they're going with it this year.
Okay, so we don't have a final from them yet either.
I mean, we know what it's going to be, but it depends on if they come back in and want to do a CPI increase.
So we might need to leave that in there for now, huh? It'd be pretty close. And this is a fluctuating fund. We could help one above it.
Oh, yeah. Generally, you're going to spend most of that just based on
That was the
toilet papers and, I mean,
Yeah.
No, general ops is different. Custodial toilet paper, here's your holiday fund.
Yeah. Oh, whoops, I pointed at the wrong one.
Yeah. I mean, this would come into factor if we're planning on doing any remodels, any even small stuff.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, we got a heat plant and an air conditioning on the roof that are getting pretty old too, so.
Mm-hmm. As usual, it's always tight.
And my budget's pretty stable most of the time, but
Yeah.
how about insurance? Is that,
Well, I think the 61,000 is pretty good. Again, 18% of that at the end of the year gets taken out, but it's always nice for a buffer in
yeah.
the fund.
Mitch, is there any money in your, gonna be in your budget to remodel the bathrooms in this building?
Well,
No?
it depends. I mean, in the maintenance budget this year, you know, we didn't have a lot of maintenance, so we saved a lot of money, but I did divert some of those funds to some tree projects that needed to get done.
Yeah.
But we're gonna still come in, but next year in the maintenance budget, again, if we don't have a lot of extra maintenance expenses, that money could be repurposed to redo the bathrooms,
Okay.
because they are getting in pretty rough shape. But I didn't budget anything specifically for it, because I knew we were gonna be over. It was just,
If we remodel them, do we have to make them handicap accessible, or are we grandfathered in, I wonder?
if we want,
Do we have to make them handicap accessible?
you know, that's a good question.
Yeah.
My guess is if we remodel them, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think is males, is that big enough to be handicap already?
The mail is, yeah. The only thing you might have to do is have a lower paper towel dispenser for handicap, and then the sink, I think, is okay, because it's not a standard.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be okay there. But women's, I don't know. I've never been in it, so.
Well, there's one stall, so.
Okay.
So there's probably just equal room.
Yeah,
Actually, well, with only one stall, no urinal, right? There's only one stall, no urinal, so they actually probably have more room.
more room probably than the men's room, yeah.
Yeah.
May want to be having a party in there. You know, like a dance party in there, there's not that much space. You can go check it out. I'm the old girl here. Have at it. The wages in here, is that with what they would like? Or is that without?
That's without. I did give you,
No, I saw the other one. I just didn't know for
Yeah.
sure. But
yeah, that's staying at the 20%. So quiet. Apologize, it's about 72,000, not 120. Which is, I think, the number I told you the other day, something like that.
About, we're,
About 72,000.
is what we need for the project out here.
No, that's what we're short.
What we're short.
Short.
With what we already anticipated spending.
But we still haven't factored in any wage increases or anything for these wages.
1.5.
1.5, okay.
So if you take the 1,452 and you take off the two loans, then it comes to more than 120?
Less,
Less.
72.
Less.
Yeah, I need to take off the other 50,000 for the squad.
Okay. So we still have a deficit of like 70,000 we need to.
Yep.
Or take it out of general fund.
Or take that general fund.
I would rather not. $73,000 roughly. Well, just bring mine up. Pull that one for now, okay?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do. I mean,
Gives us a little buffer, but we've got
in the big picture, it's still not
it's nothing.
solving anything.
No, it's not.
Yeah, this is the fun part, because let's get to work together. Anybody else have any suggestions on cutting?
I asked for a little bit more money this year for chip seal. We made it through the year last year. If I need to come down a little bit, I can.
I mean, again, if it helps ease your mind right now, we're looking at a surplus this year. If everybody chills a little bit, gets only our need items, we'll put some more money back into the coffers.
Like I say, I think I added $13,000 in there extra this year. We made it through last year, really. So I can, we have to. We'll get through another year. Plus, we got some big projects we're doing anyways. I don't know what else is in here.
Probably cut that fire department down a little bit too. We got the city of La Crosse coming over here responding.
Are we in public comment
I
session right
don't
now?
know where we're done with them.
Did you want to reserve yourself?
I did.
How close are we on that? I mean, we're just talking Cummings.
Yeah, she does have a want item though that she wants to maybe think about getting some new receptacles put in along one of the walls. There's only one receptacle,
Or we could use some of that library fund for that, right?
possibly, but it's still budgeted. I mean, it
Yeah.
still comes out
Yeah.
reserve,
We were pretty close at that 4,800.
but we're probably going to be pretty close because actually the operations pays for the heating, lighting, phones.
So, yeah, we'll probably even maybe go over a little.
I'm not anticipating going over. I think we're going to be pretty close there.
heard anything from, the airport about extending our Plainview Park?
They were supposed to meet in November.
What about cutting supervisor's, budget
Oh,
down there a little bit too, because you got
Jeff.
Bob Wolfert that's,
Jeff, you're out of line.
That's all right. I figured you guys would come for me, so, the tennis courts are in need of some help. That or they need to be ripped down, one or two. There's two options. I gave you paperwork on. The second option is this armor stuff. I'm not sure what they even call it. But to resurface them with the armor stuff, it's about $45,000. To resurface without the armor, there's special stuff that guarantees they last a little longer. It's $23,500. That's part of my capital outlay. I also budgeted in case they're gonna let us extend Plainview Park, which we won't know until November, and I can't do anything about that. I budgeted for replacing ash trees that were torn down, obviously not replacing them with ash trees, but replacing them with a different type of tree. If homeowners are wanting a tree, but my thought would be that they would have to put it in their property, not in the town.
That would be my thought too.
I just called around to a few places and it's about $200 a tree. And I'm gonna go ahead and guess that not everybody's gonna want a tree, so that amount could be a little bit.
I see way too many people when they put them on the right of way, they're right underneath the power lines.
Yeah.
Then you have that issue in 10 to 15 years where they gotta come out and feed them. So put them on their own property, know the size, circumference of what the tree's gonna be and set it back far enough to be away from the power lines.
And then I also put in there to fix the Nelson parking lot. It's in horrible shape. There's also an attachment for you. They can be done in 3 different sections. Obviously, if we do them together, it's a little bit cheaper. So, a little bit of a discount. So that's why my budget's so high. Don't judge the drawing. I'm not sure who drew it, but it's not to scale. It gets the job done. I'm not sure if you've been down there, but it's in horrible shape. That's with the armor. 23.5 without the armor.
Without the armor makes less.
Well, they say, but who can guarantee that? I'm special. I'm the only one that gets a copy because I had to revise mine this morning, and I'm sure Chad was cursing my name when he saw that email this morning, and I told Steve on Friday that was going to happen, so.
Nope, didn't bother me. I just give it to these guys. You guys figure it out.
I'm just confused about where it says Capital Outlay Park 76,000, but then, the numbers here, Capital Outlay option 1 and option 2 is 142 and 120, but then, so you wanna do it in like 2 sections?
Well, when I printed this on the 28th, I didn't have those new numbers.
Oh, okay.
And instead of reprinting all of these today, I just gave you this.
Oh,
No, the tennis courts aren't in 2 different sections. It's either one option or the other, or none at all. And we continue to let them go to poop. And as far as that's gonna happen, then I say we take them down.
Do we know how much they're being used?
Well, enough where people call and complain about them often. So I think they'd get used more if they were in better shape. I mean, like me personally, I go to Copeland to play because it's a brand new court. But last year when we put the new equipment at Church Drive, I had several people send me their opinions and on a piece of paper telling me that I had an opinion box, and you know what they would like to see done. And tons of people said that they would like the tennis courts fixed. So they've been neglected for too many years. That's why it's costing so much. I tried to get a quote from somewhere else. This is the only place that would travel. There's like no places here. I called one place here in town over by Dairy Queen, and that gentleman chose to never call me back. So, Latchkey or something, maybe.
So I guess a good point though, to clarify, because I didn't update this for you, instead of 72,000, if we go with the new numbers here at the max level, add another 70 to that. So about 140.
I only made a $66,000 adjustment. That's all I changed. I only added the Nelson Park thing to mine.
Yeah, 70, 66, whatever.
Kelsey, if I,
I just gotta tell, sorry, my
Okay.
water's all over.
oh,
Go ahead.
if I took your tennis courts option number 1 and we didn't do the trees, that would come to 61,000. We'd only be 9,000 over, correct, Chad?
No, you still got the Nelson Park one.
Yeah.
Plus, plus if you took option 1 out, option 2 is half of that. 23,000, so you'd only gain 22,000 off of that. If you did option 4 and 5 and took them off. That would give you 2,000. The tree replacement's no big deal, and Nelson Park's in bad shape, but is that a need or a want?
I know the section 3 part, we just did somewhere, it's gravel there, but,
Yeah.
you know, we just did somewhere in there.
That was the maintenance department wanted 3. I didn't even want 3. I think it's been gravel forever. My main concern is 1 and 2. Does anybody want to see what we're talking about? I will gladly pass it around. Actually, you can have Bob's copy. He doesn't need it.
I have questions for Bob.
4 and 5 is 82,000, right? How much do we need though?
What, Mitch? How much do we need what?
No, I was asking Chad, how much more do we need beyond that?
I mean, unfortunately, we run through this every year.
Yeah.
The budgets are tight.
Yeah.
One budget is cut. Every year.
Well, most of the budgets in defense of everybody, they're pretty static. I mean, you know how much money it's going to cost to keep heating the building and lighting streets, and you know what gas is going to cost, and you know what salaries are going to be. Garbage is going to be pickup, and how much that yard waste site out there costs. I mean, those are, you can't really do much with some of these budget line items, otherwise, or cut the programs.
Well, we can't cut the heats and lights. So.
And you can't cut the heats and lights.
So how much, if we did cut the Nelson Park parking lot, how much more do we need?
72,000.
Plus 72 more.
Well, if we took out the ash trees too, the tree replacement, that's 82,000 between those two items.
Yeah. Minus that line item, 56,000.
So we're at what, 51?
56.
56,000?
We won't know until November on planning.
Yeah.
Obviously, we went option 2 on the tennis courts. That's another 21.5. We could knock off.
Did I do that right?
That gets us down to 34.5.
Hell, cut the whole budget. Why don't you just take it all? I mean, honestly.
Oh, we've been picking on Kelsey,
For 2 years.
yeah.
Well, part of the problem is, particularly for small communities with the levy limits that are put on by the state, we don't have a lot of new construction, so we don't make a lot of gains in levy. Like La Crosse, they've had a ton of levy gain with just all their new construction downtown. So they're able to do things that we can't even dream of. And, you know, we're looking at our levy going up only $7,000 this year. That's not a lot of money. That's a couple of houses that were built. And so we're kind of constrained there. And unfortunately, the worst part of it is the Parks Department is the budget that tends to be the one that has the most
So
flexibility.
I will send all phone calls to you guys.
No, I know, Kelsey. I know what you're saying.
I'm not,
I
don't think we disagree that it's
No,
all
and
fixed.
that's fine, but I don't know, maybe we need to look at getting rid of 2 supervisors, because clearly there's no point in me being here. You guys do it all for me.
now, I would like to move down. Nate, do you think we could take a little bit out of your training budget? Or, I wonder, Drew asked the same thing, you know, where that's all 4 of us are picking on Kelsey, but, maybe we can, I don't know if there's any place we can save a little bit on.
So the fire department submitted a budget proposal that was lower than last year to try to contribute, knowing it was going to be a tight year. If it would help, we could take another 500 out of training.
Okay. Drew, could I do that same with yours?
I wouldn't cut short my training budget. I could take another, I could probably cut it by about $6,000,
By how much?
about $6,000.
$6?
Overall, but about $6,000.
Oh, the overall budget.
Yeah, I would probably, I mean, I'd pull out general ops and pull out the fuel and oil. And the $39,6296 under capital outlay would be to pay the tasers that we bought last year off. We're only required to make a payment of what? $1,200. Because we're on a 5-year payment plan. Chad and I had talked about if the money was there, we pay them off in 2 years, but please, we have 4 more years to pay them off, so we can make a minimum payment this year without penalty. So the only line item that's going up that I have no control over is under fringes.
Yeah.
My wages is actually going down this year. So, yes, I could cut about $6,000 out of my budget.
You sure you want to cut your gas?
And when I put the $1,000 extra, Kelsey, it was up close to $3,000. It's back down to $270. We made it through this year. We're fine. I was concerned that we're gonna hit 350.
Oh, no.
Well, and
You know,
it might next year. We don't know.
I still think we have, I think we have enough wiggle room with the 11,000.
Well, I still anticipate us hitting close to about 10.7 for gas for the rest of the year.
I'm only saying because I work in the fuel business and the futures are selling in there, so. Higher. But they could change tomorrow.
So Chad, if I took 500 more out of
So I don't
fire
know
department's
tomorrow.
training and 6,000 out of police's general ops,
56.
that'd bring us down to 28,000. Would anybody be, with the other things we discussed, be willing to take 28,000 out of our, well, we have 17,002 might be left over.
Potentially more. Again, I mean, there were some line items that I have in there projected to max out. I mean, some of that came from the fire department, some came from the police department.
Yeah.
I mean, there's potential there to save even more this year, but
Right.
again, if everyone kind of trims down to need items,
I'm sorry, but Kelsey's not trimming down. Kelsey's sending her order form tomorrow.
Then my next question is, if we meet again next Wednesday, would you be able to have that done by then with the voting next week, Chad?
Mhm.
Okay. And then,
I mean, you guys are giving me very minimal changes. It's,
yeah, okay. Or would you be willing, I don't know if these we could come back on Friday? Anybody be able to make it?
This Friday?
Yeah, no? It'd be too much, that wouldn't be enough time, would it?
Well, Chad gets some at 3, and then you have to hang around here till 6.
Well, earlier?
No, some people work.
Yeah. You wouldn't be able to make
My only problem with that is my wife is leaving on a trip on Thursday, so.
it. Wednesday would work for us then.
Next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Well, that's what you guys had originally.
Yeah.
He wasn't here.
Oh, you weren't here.
That might be a problem for me.
Well, luckily we're not cutting from your budget.
Well, you can't cut much of mine unless you don't want to pay the bills.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They'll turn the
So don't
power
worry, you don't
off
gotta
on
worry
this.
about it.
My budget is pretty set in stone. I mean,
Wednesday, the 7th of November at 6 o'clock.
yeah, that's not going to
Okay.
work for me.
Huh?
Will Bob be back?
He said he was supposed to be
He's on a
traveling
flight
today.
right now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
I mean, I could make, like,
Well, we'll just keep it for the 7th, all right?
we just really need to have it finalized. I mean,
Right.
because I need to get that. Has to be published at least 20 days, or
Correct.
no more than 20, at least 15 before the hearing.
Jay,
So.
you just want us to resubmit them with those changes? Just maybe resubmit some to you, Mark? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, if you want to come into the office, I'll
Sorry.
or submit, or we can talk about a little bit further.
You got my spreadsheet, you can make the changes you all want.
Yeah, and I'll make the,
I can do it.
whatever.
And then,
I mean, we're in this revised one. Are we? What did you want to pull out?
I mean, realistically, if we come in with no additional spending for the rest of the year, we're down to $11,000.
yeah.
Correct.
I can't guarantee that, sorry. I get little what I got, and I was waiting for a sale, and the sale popped up, so I'm taking it.
I guess I'll ask a question though. Rockford Wardwell. What is a Rockford Wardwell for $4,500?
That was Steve's estimate for the rock around the Wardwell Park play area. There's
Oh.
nothing. It used to be like wood chips, and now it's grass. So it's technically not safe. We need to have a protective barrier, or it needs to be probably closed down.
It's like a pea gravel.
Yeah, just like it's at the other parks.
Yeah.
That is the exact estimate from Steve from wherever he gets the rock from.
How much do you want her capital outlay to stay? I mean, where are you
They
guys
want to
at?
get rid of the $4,500 for the tennis courts option 1. They want to get rid of the trees, and they want to get rid of the Nelson Park. And you probably want to get rid of extending Plainview Park, since we don't know what's going on with that. And do you want to do the tennis courts at all, or you just want to cut all my capital outlay? That would save you guys, well, I don't know, $120,000. Really?
We don't need to save that much. I mean,
Would you say your tennis courts are more important than your boat landing?
I can't pick one or the other. I refuse to pick one or the other. Too many people use the boat landing, and people like the tennis courts.
And we'll go into a closed session here, I guess, but you know, there could be some changes with employee compensations and things too that we'll have to factor into.
I've got a couple $1,000s in the budget for training every year that hasn't been used. I would like to use it, but
I didn't,
I don't know if cutting it is the best option. I mean,
I like to have it there. It just didn't work out this year because of,
we should be sending them to. I
Yes.
mean, we should be using it every year.
yes, I would like to keep it there.
that's part of the 17,000 that I probably have left over. Got 2,000 for your training. Yeah, if you didn't use it, you know.
mean, keep in mind that I do try to do a little bit of fundraising to help with my stuff,
We
that I'm
can
not
fit
just
in right now
I mean-
with where we're at, right? So.
Mhm.
I don't
Putting the
see
work
that
in to try to
as
find
something
some
that we need to take out instead of keep it. We've got a patch.
The shirt's available for sale if y'all like any. The
I would-
money benefits the parking rec department.
Yeah.
Right now, there's only gray, but we're gonna move on. So maybe
I mean, don't get me wrong.
orange for the guys.
I would love
maintenance
this.
department. There's some
Oh,
people
yeah.
that say it's orange.
But what's more important right now? That or
Right.
getting
Am I
lot out
selling
there?
any shirts here? We have sweatshirts, long sleeves, zip-up hoodies. And crew neck hoodie. No hoodie. Sweatshirts with no hood.
You know, I mean, that could be a great line item for 2020.
Get everybody covered. You gonna have kids next time around? I do a pancake and run a walk, but those are already taken. So I'm stuck at t-shirt sales. Well, there you go. I could do a run. No, the police reserves do that. I can't take that one.
Actually, Nate, since you're sitting here and they're still debating, the only other thing, I switched it around again, the gas and oil and the maintenance, just to flip-flop them for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
I guess 13,000 for maintenance and repair with the new truck coming in, is there gonna be quite as much there needed as well?
It's a fair question. Probably not, but it won't happen until after 19 because the truck will be delivered over 19. Yeah, it'll be following year. Yeah, about this time next year. So we'll still have the same maintenance things.
With the new truck, with the loaner truck?
Once the new truck, well, we still have to maintain the loaner truck,
Okay,
break fix and stuff like that.
sure.
The new engine is gonna arrive in April, isn't it?
No,
No?
no.
Chassis in April.
Oh,
Chassis.
okay. We're a year out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it takes them a year to build it.
So if your numbers, Chad, are, if we remove the tennis court, the ash trees, and Nelson Park, we'd be 28,000 in deficit yet, correct?
I think so, but that still leaves you the option to surface number 2
Okay.
and extending airport still, so that still leaves 38.5.
Well, to be honest, I would rather have Nelson Park get fixed up than have the airport extended. So I guess if the money's in there, I can, or whoever's in this place next year
Mm-hmm.
can choose what they want to do with it. They'd rather not do that. They could do at least part of Nelson Park. Actually, we'll leave it in section 1.
I'm assuming if we get the permission to extend that park, we want to have them before next summer.
Yeah, I forget when men's softball starts. Is it June?
June.
Are we protecting more income? How does that work with softball fields and softball? Do we rent them out or do they just?
No, we do not rent them out.
You,
They give us. a
they give us about a
donation.
$2,000 donation every year. It varies based on the number of teams I have. Last 2 years been $2,000 a year.
But we can't play softball there without $15,000.
It's not for adults.
Yeah, it's not,
It's children.
That's still, yeah.
yeah, the fences aren't long, far
So as
enough.
of right now, they have Sky Harbor and Westlake is taken away, and
Eagle's Nest. Which actually, without an additional field, they may not even play here,
Which means I have to
Because
lose
neither-
$1,000 from my budget.
Yeah.
because neither of them have lights. And I don't know if they can get all their games in 2 fields.
Well, at the rate we're going, are they even taking Nelson?
Oh yeah, fences are down, it's done.
When are they putting their fence up?
I don't have information on their budget.
Oh, I didn't know if you had a chit chat with Clinton and he.
Would assume if they're gonna take that in the airport, they're gonna fence it in.
I would assume too.
An 8-foot chain link fence, I would imagine.
If we left general ops the same for park and rec at 30,000, and if we added part of the Nelson boat landing part,
Well, the part I want to be done would be the 45,600 section, because that's the part that's in really bad shape.
section number 2,
Section number 2.
yeah, we would still. How much would we be in the deficit if we did that?
Quick math in my head, still 50, 55.
55.
I mean, in the scheme of things, and I've said it for several years now, there's a reason we have a reserve fund. I mean, if this is something that the board feels is a must need or a must have, that's what the funds are for. I mean,
How much are we pulling out of there this year though, already? With the fire truck and
it was 130 for the fire truck,
70 for the maintenance yard, right?
70 for the maintenance yard.
We do get 16 grand for boat landing permits, so. But I'm sure it's already being spent on other projects, I imagine.
That's actually in a different kind of category. We figured it out about 31,000. That's in the reserve right now about 16,000 in the reserve right now, plus the revenue that we've taken in this year. So we're actually in the positive about
This is the first time.
31,000.
How many we used for the?
The expansion for
Again,
Plainview
it's still
Park,
not
just
enough.
moving the
I need
fence
like
back.
45,000.
Adding. Let's look back at that.
Yeah. Actually, the problem with it may be being that you can't even reuse your fence that there's at.
That's there, that's what I mean.
Yeah, you could probably use the post, but
Yeah.
So if we stuck with taking out the parking, the trees, Plainview, and the tennis court, we're still 28,000 over in the deficit.
yeah.
You're taking out all the time, you're taking out my whole capital, like, everything. Like
Which is probably going to be made up again with the
He's leaving
surplus this year.
Option 2 in there. Option 2's in there.
Leave option 2.
Option 2's in there where we are right now.
Okay. So with 28,000, we can still do option 2.
At 28 grand, option 2 still in there, yes.
Yeah.
Mitch, would you be all right with just being 28 over? And then hopefully we still come out.
Well, I think we probably should look at that at the final meeting on what we're
Okay.
gonna actually do, I guess.
All right.
Do you have hard numbers for repairing Plainview and Nelson, the shelters? I mean, are those hard
Those are
numbers?
not hard numbers,
Okay. So that could come in a little cheaper then too.
correct.
So we
But-
could maybe
So
save a
then maybe if I had
couple.
some leftover money in general operations, I could fix something else that's falling apart here. I don't know what you want me to do with it. Please do not take from my general operations.
Oh, no, we won't
No.
take it.
Well, that's what you're
I'm not-
talking about, because that's fix us.
I'm not, no, I'm just saying, you know, you factored that in out of the general ops budget.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
There's a little red arrow going from the 30,000
Yeah, I
to
see
general
that.
operations, 2018 ideas.
How about community center general ops?
Well, Mitch just finally responded to me today about the things I wanted to do.
Okay.
I need to see what's actually behind the paneling before he'll let me make it, before he make a decision. But no, I think that place needs a little fixing up. It needs new blinds. It looks like it's original. I mean, if we fix it up, we can charge more. I'm looking to put Wi-Fi in there.
I kind of view that more as a want than a need myself, because the building is still functional and it gets used, and I don't want to make the fees too high for people to use it, because it is a community center.
Well, I'm not saying I'm going to charge $400 to rent it,
Right.
but I mean, it's at 120. There's no reason why we couldn't do 130.
Yeah, but you're not
And
going to make up a lot of revenue off
But
of
you
that.
are if people are.
And we allow it to be used by charitable organizations for free, and Jeff at Christmas when he's up there, so I think
I charge-
those are all good things for the community.
I charge the 4-H group to use it that I brought in for extra revenue. I don't, as far as the other stuff, that was all in place before me, but I do charge the 4-H group.
How about you, Ralph? Would you be up to being at 28 over
If you're willing to talk about it, that's for sure.
next Wednesday?
Mhm.
All right. Chelsea?
I'm sure we all know how I feel.
Okay.
Can I ask, Drew, do you know of any other grants other than seatbelt grant or anything that police department that's out there?
DOT grants are gonna be, but we're not gonna get to see about grants next year. We've already been told the county, those are always countywide. Speed grant will be available for OWI, Safe Routes to School.
No other training grants or anything that you know of?
Anytime that there's a grant opportunity or a scholarship opportunity for training, we submit an application for
Looking for just additional revenue sources
Our revenue-
that could
our-
make up some of
Our
that.
revenue from citations will be up next year. I will have a full staff for the first time in 3 years.
Mhm.
And when I have a full staff, if you look at the numbers month to month, our revenue from citations, traffic enforcement specifically, is significantly full staff. So I'm confident, I can say confidently that our traffic citation revenues will be up next year.
I mean, just from my perspective and just being here, 28,000, usually, 25, 30,000 isn't that bad in the scope of things.
Yeah.
Usually we come in pretty good. I know Bruce has been on the board several times. I don't think there's been many years where we've actually balanced without anticipating funds being taken out, and we usually come out pretty good by the end of the year.
And if next year holds like this year, there'll probably be money left over at the end of the budget again.
Yeah.
But, that's where we gotta be misers a little bit too, and not spend it simply because it's there.
Right.
If we have a real need, then, spend it. But if we wanna spend it just because it's sitting there, then, that's it's not a good use of the money per
No.
se. I mean, because there are things you want and things you need, but my philosophy has always been you address your needs first, and then when you get to the point where you can do your wants, you do them. And with the way the budgets are right now, wants are going to be a difficult item to fit in for the next few years, probably.
Well, I think with this park and rec, you know, it's so tight. And there are things that need done eventually.
Well, if they don't get done, they cost us $45,000.
Well,
to
that's,
fix
yeah,
the
no,
police
and
board.
you've got a great, but I guess what I'm getting at is eventually this money is gonna have to come from somewhere besides our regular budget for any of these add-on extra things. So we will have to make that decision at some point where we're gonna get that money, if we're gonna take it from our, you know, reserves or what. The reserves are there for a reason, but we don't wanna get it down so low that we need to worry about it either.
Right. If we have incorporation coming up, that's not going to be cheap. And you know, one thing we have to keep in mind too, as we retire debt, that money doesn't come out of the levy, so that money will be available to be used. I mean, so sometimes, and of course, our debt retirement situation isn't going to be really good for the next couple of years, but you can't turn down $500,000 federal grant for the road, so we had to borrow the extra money to match that. So I mean, that saved the taxpayers $500,000 over time. But so for the next couple of years, it's going to be tough for us to fit some of those wanted items in there, I guess.
So do we want to move forward then, and we'll come back here Wednesday and see what Chad has for us? Put some numbers together, we'll see where we're at.
Yeah.
Hopefully Bob's here, should be.
As far as the park and rec, just so I'm very clear on what capital outlay in that section is going to be.
We're still gonna leave in
$23,500.
to resurface tennis court.
Well, we didn't take out Plainview yet either. We take that out, then we're down to 13,
He did.
right? Yeah, we're down to 13 if we take out Plainview.
He said what he did.
We had Plainview in there at 28,
Oh, okay.
so.
Let's leave Plainview in here, let's write it up at 28, Chad, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So then moving on to utility budget. Kind of just use figures from last year. We did have projected year end looking about $35,000 surplus, which would be used next year. Some of that I think was we had budgeted for a new pickup truck for the utility department that wasn't purchased this year. So I put that back in the budget, meaning that we'd have to pull out $34,595 from the fund, but that's going back in this
Going
year.
back in, yeah.
So otherwise, it's pretty balanced. No significant changes with anything, as you can see. Actually, from a budget standpoint, the depreciation's $100,000, so it's not really an expense item that gets pulled out at the end of the year. So that really goes back into the fund at the end of the year, anyways. But maybe Bob will have some more
Yeah.
information that he wants to change a little bit or whatever for the next meeting, but and depending on what comes out of this, well, it won't affect next year, but the whole sewer agreement thing that's coming up
Any other
might
comments?
get ugly.
Mitch, anything else?
No, I'm good to go, Joe.
Chad, anything else you wanna bring up?
No, I think you've answered everything. I mean, I'll make
Okay.
the changes, bring it back to you next week, and hopefully we finalize that one so I can get everything posted and printed, and we can set our budget hearing.
Yes. Should have, we'll make it in time. Ralph? Anything? No. Kelsey? Okay. Can I get a motion to go into closed session then?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ralph and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? Call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. We're in open session again. Possible action on items discussed in closed session. We did 5A and
We're gonna shred them.
we're gonna shred them.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
everything was good.
if legally you can't shred valuations. I'm part of a permanent file.
I disagree,
Under state law, I think they are.
because there's plenty of
But you're not
places.
governed by state law
Oh, it's true.
or a government body.
Well, then they get sealed back up and put away again. With tape, so
Okay.
someone goes in.
So performance evaluations will be going into a sealed envelope.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion for that then?
Then I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We move down to 5E. Considering compensation for general town employees for 2019. I guess what we decided was we're going to do a 1.5% across the board wage increase for general employees and the maintenance and office. So and like sick time and everything, we're going to leave it currently the way it is. The insurance premium, we're going to leave it the way it is right now at 20%, and we're not going to increase the call payment from 70 to 140 at this time. So, did I get it right?
Yep.
Okay. Can I get a motion for that, please?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Ralph, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No,
Motion carries. We'll move down to, let's see, we got one left.
I think we're just gonna carry that one over pending, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
5C, possible discipline or dismissal of a town employee. We're just going to carry that over until we see what happens. So can I get a motion for that?
Yep, I'll make a motion that we carry that over. We'll know more in November.
Second that.
I have a motion by Mitch and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Kelsey and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Now that concludes our business. We are adjourned. Thank you.